Never seen such an extravagant woman. Antelopes and rhinoceroses made into a banquet. A constant stream of more delicacies from the sea. The guests' mouths watered. This Tony ate the most. One bite of a squab. Big Fat is not far behind. He has already eaten a whole plate of grilled sausages. Look closely at the people at the table who are eating hard. Almost everyone reveals the weirdness. Not a word of communication between them, but each other's eyes have a hidden murderous aura. What's even scarier is the food they swallowed. A whole roasted lamb with bloodstains, raw charcoal grilled brains. Even the dog's head and the crocodile's head were not spared. The huge space was very silent. The sound of a woman's high heels was particularly noticeable. David, who was cutting vegetables, was the first to hear the noise. When he heard the sound, he immediately gave feedback to his partner. The manager and the waiters are aware of the sound. The floor slowly vibrates. It was as if they sensed something. They immediately left the area of the table. At the very moment of withdrawal, the floor broke. The guests fell down with the table. The restaurant staff was not surprised at all. The manager took out a small book. I do not know what is recording, and then transmitted to the intercom. Next floor. At the manager's command, the attendants immediately gathered their tools. They went to the next floor. A magnificent chandelier also slowly dropped. The light continues to shine on the next floor as the customers dine. After the banquet hosts were seated, the first thing she did was to wipe the dust off the ring jewels. She looked at the chandelier. The ceiling had been smashed with numerous holes. It was clear that this was not the first time they had fallen, but the sinking was much more than that. Never attend such a chaotic feast. The guests have not had enough to eat. The floor suddenly explodes. The food is not eaten. Instead, they sucked in a lot of dust. The waiter immediately took out a chicken feather duster. Clean up the dust on the guests. Tony could not stand the hunger. Without waiting for the dust on his body, the dust is cleaned before the food is brought to the mouth. The bald man saw that he was also hungry, but to save face he first looked around at the people. The others did not seem to have any intention of doing anything. He could not wait and decided to ignore everything. He quickly brought the food to his mouth. To his surprise, everyone was waiting for him to make the first move. As soon as he made his move, the others immediately followed. They kept eating. During the meal, they provoked each other with their eyes. It was as if they were competing for something. Back to the beginning. Aisha, a woman, is part of a large family. Her husband, Sean, has $100 billion. He has been immersed in a lifelong struggle for profit. He has planned a fight at the end of his life. The inheritance of the fortune is determined by the amount of food eaten at the banquet. Her relatives gobbled up the money for the sake of appearances. Only Mary is indifferent. On the basis of her status as a direct relative, she did not want to believe that her father would not give her a penny. She watched the scandal of the others. She raised her hand to ask the waiter to give her more food, but the servants who were paid to do the work didn't care about her. At the request of her employer, they kept adding food to everyone. Suddenly the floor broke again. The table and the guests fell again. The manager continued to tell the people to go down one floor, but by the time they got downstairs in a hurry, they were just approaching the table before they could clean up the work. The table fell down. It was a feast in danger. The man in black was watching from downstairs. The floor upstairs kept rattling. It seems that the next moment will be overwhelmed. The manager didn't say anything. Direct instructions to the next floor. The waiters rushed to the next location with the cutlery. The speed of walking in the staircase became faster. They make a mad dash downstairs. Just as they stepped into the restaurant, there was a sound on the floor under their feet. The restaurant was also in danger at this moment. The experienced manager immediately stopped the crowd. He led them ahead to the next floor. The attendants were ready. The manager took a flashlight. Looking at the rickety floor above, they waited for the guests to descend so that he could order the attendants to give the quickest service possible. The people upstairs are covered in dust. The food was no exception. There was a strange look on everyone's face at the moment, but no one reached for the food on the table. Sean, who was watching from the main table, looked over the crowd. He picks up the food and signals for the struggle to continue. Everyone got their orders and went back to eating. Mary watched the madness of the crowd, with no attendants to replenish the food. Some of them had already started to grab it, and then she looked at her brother who was already eating beside her father. She then saw her father's desperation. Tears of despair flowed from the corners of her eyes. She joined in the struggle. Not only did she quickly finish the food in her bowl, she also went for her mother's chicken leg. Finally, the floor broke again under the weight. The table quickly fell to the next level, but this time it didn't stop. It fell layer by layer. The glowing chandelier followed suit, until it disappears into the darkness. The next level of the short film is only 12 minutes. In this short time, a meaningful story is expressed in the best possible way. The food that keeps coming to the table. Like all the temptations in life, once over-acquired, temptation is like a magnet that keeps attracting you until you fall into the abyss.